fucking hell, I don't know what's going on here. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm not too sure, if everyone's seen the chat or heard the chat, but again, I'll edit the clips and make sure to repost them back on Facebook and YouTube. So yeah, apologies for the. I'm not a multi-million pound company, so I don't know what's going on here. Do you know what I mean?
The classic on and off.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. Fucking hell. Whew. Right. Premier League.
You need to get yourself a nice little man in the office just sorting it out in the back.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I need a little right hand man. Yeah. Little dwarf somewhere. Do you think the Premier League, with the amount of money in the Premier League, do you think they should supplement the NHS at this time? And I know Gary Neville's been an advocate for it. So
I think trying to point out one single scenario to say, let's give him money. Football always gets sort of like crucified because of the amount of money that's involved in it. But yeah, Richard Branson's just put his island up for collateral. It's a bit like, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I'm going to lose my island. Fucking soft prick. Like, and I agree with all footballers all the time. Fair enough, footballers can do something because they're in the face of public eye all the time. But there's a lot more people, and there's a lot more people making money and skimming money out of the country, and they're not being poached left, right, and centre to help out NHS. Fair enough, it does need help. But the bank's got a massive bailout so many years ago, where the bank's not what dip their hands in pockets and start helping out as well. Like return the favour. Nah, it's never going to happen. So it's pretty easy to pick on footballers and clubs for loads of money, but it's a bit unfair, I reckon.
Yeah, I've got a comment from the chat. Craig says, "Go, Craig." little fan club there, Craig. Yeah.
It's pretty much half your streaming audience, I think.
Yeah, right now, yeah. What about all the other millions in football? I mean, when all this kicked off, I was like, the lower league teams, we might lose a few because of financial constraints and whatnot. And I was a big believer in the Premier League, not giving handouts as such, but all the extra money and extra revenue that was generated, maybe push it down to the lower leagues and help prop up these teams, because obviously I don't want another Bury FC to happen, even though Dillon might.
It's a tough time for the lower league teams, and I get that, but someone's got to be taking the loss. Who is it? The players, the club? Like, someone's got to do something. I mean, it's a bit unfair for the top earners in the clubs to still be taking on full wages in a current crisis, and then expecting the clubs to still employ them at the end of it. If there is no club with no money, there's got to be a bit of give from either way. So it's hard to say where the money should be coming and going. But there's a lot of that in all businesses across everything at the moment. Everyone's getting laid off. But imagine being at a job centre and like old mate from League Two stood next to you because he's not got his pay packet for the week. It's not going to happen, is it? They're always going to get a handout at some point, and mercenaries.
I think Arsenal's done it like spot on, to be fair. So I think it might have been Chelsea, like just sent in the captain. I think Aspilicueta just had a meeting with the board and saying, like, obviously you need to take a pay cut. And obviously they agreed on 30%. Then after that, if you've got any issues, you take it with the captain there. And that's like, I think that's fair enough. 30%. Obviously they have bills to pay, and more cars, more houses, everything else. So 30% doesn't seem like it's not enough, to be fair.
Probably that Arsenal handing it off to a captain when they've got about 30 of them that they don't know who they are.
Oh, fucking hell! Oh, Jesus! I mean, think about it. I mean, £100 a week for a decent-ish Premier League player. 30%'s a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? It's 30 grand, isn't it? So
yeah, but you're not including all the appearances, goals, bonus. Clean sheet bonus. If you win the Premier League, you'll probably get. I don't even know. I don't even want to put a figure on it. But
I know, but let's look at the sponsorship money.
Yeah, everything. Obviously, they have their own sponsorship separate as well. Like people advocates for Adidas and Nike and stuff. So I don't 30% as well. What's the max it's going to be? 6 months. It's not. For them, I don't think it'd be bankrupt worthy. Do you?
For the lower league teams, yeah, I think so. I mean,
yeah, for the lower league.
League One and below. I mean, you know, they've cancelled the league below the National League. So I mean, that'll cripple the teams down there.
What would Rochdale's scenario be like now, Dill?
I think the highest paid player gets maybe $1,000, like 800 a week or something. So obviously, like Ian Henderson's carried him for 8 years, become the top goal scorer. Like, fantastic. And he had an interview with a lad from ESPN just saying, how are you going to cope for it? And I read the article, and he just basically said, if I didn't set up my extra company, like you might have heard of Herbalife, like the protein shake things. Said if I weren't an advocate for that, I wouldn't be able to like support my family back through it, because the Dale's like furloughed all the players, obviously on 80% already. So I heard it's bad, isn't it? Like, it's just ruthless. I listened to the other lad before, the Blackburn Rovers fan, and he was like, "Yeah, is it, you know, that we really are a selling club? It's really hard if we only get 15 million." I mean, Rochdale give the players to Premier League teams for £1 million. Craig Dawson went to West Brom when he was doing decent in the Prem for £1 million. Don't forget, Matty Gilch went to Blackpool for £250,000. That's nothing when Blackpool were in the Premier League and they won the playoff at the highest paid 200 million at Wembley. Like, come on, like it will cripple them. Rochdale didn't even own the stadium till like 4 years ago. He was sharing it with the rugby team through the council. So in terms of assets, that's not going to cover the cost as collateral. Don't really know.
I mean, you're right. But I went to Wolves recently for £1 million, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, the lad who scored against the mighty Reds. Not to make any digs there, but planting it in the top bin. Really good effort.
But nobody takes to get signed up for $1 million these days. Jesus Christ! Everyone will be getting signed up for if back in goals against United.
Well, he went back into school, obviously, 17, and all his mates are United fans saying, I can't believe you done that. He made a mockery of us and everything. And he went, no problem, I've got a psychology test to take. See you in a bit. Just went back to it like it's normal. But like I said, obviously, they're coming from League One. You're not going to get more than £1 million. And then if he does replace Doherty at right wing back, if he's made 20 appearances in the Premier League next season, he's going to be worth 5 times that. He's going to be worth £5 million. Easily. That's how the club gets turned around in players. Rochdale's players, all get signed on frees. So it is pretty worrying times, but I'd just rather the season get voided and start again.
I don't think you're the only team, though. That's the thing is that you're not the only team, and if all of the teams in that league are in the same position, then there's going to be no league if it carries on. So what's the league going to do? The league has to do something and step in and say, right, we're going to furlough players, staff, the lot.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're not the only club. Every club's going to be in this scenario, and even up to championship level.
It is different though. But even if you look at like money spent on transfers, like you've got Sunderland, Portsmouth, they're huge teams for League One. Like 5-6 years ago, I was in the Premier League, having Jermaine Defoe up front, scoring the win against Newcastle. Like the golfing class is like it's crazy. Rotherham's worth loads of money, and we're coming up against like Rochdale and Tranmere, who they were in the conference, and Rochdale's been in League Two for 42 years straight or something. So, and I know what you're saying, like maybe they should do it all for the same clubs, but some clubs won't really be able to feel it as much because Sunderland get more than 15,000 at home. If you're getting that through the ticket gauge, you're going to make profit somewhere. Rochdale getting 2,500. If no one else is coming through the door, what's going to pay the bills?
I've got a comment on the stream. Greg says, "Who benefits from these pay cuts? NHS or the owners?" I mean, obviously, for me, it's the club owners, isn't it?
Everyone's doing the same.
Yeah, it's just. And then we've got another comment. Adams put, FA needs to filter the money down through the leagues right down to grassroots. I mean, it should have been like this. It should have been like that long and years and years and years ago, shouldn't it, really? For me, there's too much money in football these days, and I think players' wages are astronomical. It's and then Adams put up the Dale, down the ale.
I mean, to be fair, like on that point, I seen an interview from Clarence Seedorf, and he was saying like when I was obviously in Holland, I was just obsessed with becoming the best. But for players these days, it's let's become an idol, let's become famous, and like you was adding on the money there. So it is let's try and become the best player, but they know that the contracts are there. Like you seen that Callum Hudson-Odoi when he turned 18, he was on what, like $5,000 a week, and he knew if he held off, he'd get 125 a week, 125 grand a week at 18. Like they know they can do it. The agents are going to push it for him, and if it was you in that situation, you'd do the same. But you would.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
It's the way it is.
It's all Insta and Twitter these days, isn't it? All these followers.
That's what I mean. But with that comes more money. Advertise this toothpaste for us or something. There's $5,000. It's just like it's crazy.
No problem. Again, thanks for coming on the stream today, boys. Apologies for the technical difficulties.
No, all good.
I just hope and pray it doesn't rear his head again.
I'm just desperate to get some football back because there's only so many times I can watch United's 5-0 win against bloody Lask. No crowd.
Some goal by Gallo, though, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know whether they should keep him on or. I mean, he's a good backup to have for what we've got coming up and coming. Mason Greenwood, he's definitely going to be a starter in a couple of years' time. And if he's already trying to sign other people, where is he going to leave these? Not currently, Greg. No.
I was saying on the stream last week. I think it's China Gallo. I think it's the striker you've been needing for a few years since Rooney led the line. He makes runs inside the channels and holds the ball up really well. So yeah, for me, if United wants a stopgap for 2 years, maybe.
Henrik Larsson type loan signing.
Yeah,
just a little filler that comes in and can score a goal. Yeah, so I think Bruno's the man now. I think everyone's on the Bruno wagon at the minute. So if we can get him, and Pogba, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know whether he's going to want to come back. I don't know. I think just get rid of him because he's a bit of a cancer.
If you're being honest, as a United fan right now, do you genuinely see United challenging for the title in the next 3, 4, 5 years? Seriously?
Money talks. Literally, it changes every game. Look at Leicester in this season. When they already said, 2 years ago that they would be challenging for Champions League. All he needs is 2 or 3 good signings and the right manager in place.
Ollie's not the man there. Yeah.
Like I say, I don't think whoever's in charge is going to get the rub of the green because the hierarchy is just destroying the club. And you can put Poch in the top seat, and you can put Jose, you can put in Van Gaal. They're just destined to fail because it was never going to work with the support they've got behind them. So at the moment, you could be Ollie in or Ollie out. I still think it's going to matter. Until it's Glazers out and Woodward out type scenario, then you're never going to really see a dominating United force carrying on for years. So I don't think anyone wants to see that anyway, to be fair. I think everyone's sick to see United win everything anyway. But as United fans, that's what we want.
Look at that.
It's true though, isn't it? Nobody wants to see it. Look at Liverpool have not even won theirs yet, and everybody hates them already.
I know. It's because they just don't let it go. Like even when I was at school, everyone supports United and City, and it's like, why don't you support where you're from? Obviously, Rochdale's like 6 miles from Manchester Centre. It's like, why go to the glory? Just be like, oh well, my dad's support him or whatever. Well, you can make it and walk to the ground on a Saturday and have a few beers with whoever and just enjoy it, regardless of the level. And for me, that's just like United was like a stronghold for 20 years, and then you get. I'm not saying obviously Craig is, but you get a lot of United fans now being like, "Oh well, we're not doing great," and they're like sulking about it, and you think, "Fuck off! You've had nearly, 15 years about it." Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, look, like,
but
you have to make do.
But as Craig rightly says, Dillon, money talks.
But honestly, if you've seen the fixtures now and you're doing like a Super 6 at weekend, come on, wake up, Super 6, right? Let's have it. United are playing Wolves at Molineux. There's no way you're picking United to beat them. You're just not.
Especially because they're a bit of a bogey team for us over the past couple of years.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's just like a top 7 club.
it's all done by businesses now. They're not like
Nice one, Greg.
fan-owned clubs. It's all big businesses. So you've got 6, 7, 8 massive, huge businesses that only want a winners' medal. That's all they're ever getting. So if 4 of them get to Champions League, 3 of them don't, well, the 3 getting sacked. And how long is that going to go on for? How many times can a manager get sacked? Every little circles, like Pep doesn't win the league this year, or hypothetically wasn't going to win it. Everyone was calling for his head at one point, and mate, what do you think he did? Like the past couple of seasons, it doesn't matter. Like, and it's just this merry-go-round that if you're not the winning team, you're going to get sacked. So, how is that sustainable? Before you know it, all the top 6 managers are gone in the space of 5 seasons. It's not sustainable, but.
To be fair, though, like
I'm a little league fan, Man City fan. That's the wrong.
You wouldn't change it a winning formula though. Like obviously through like the class of '92 and stuff, United brought a lot of players through, and for me, one of the best players is Scott McTominay. So you bring in players like that through, and that's developed like a winning ethos. You've seen it all through the academy and stuff like that, and that are like dying for the badge. But rather you sign in, you know what I mean? Fucking Phil Jones from Blackburn can't even stand up, Kim Bambi on ice at the back, like. It just don't make sense to me. Like,
there's no point building a winning ethos, getting trust in a manager and a player if he's gone the season after. Scott McTominay was Mourinho's little baby, gives him Player of the Year, and then come in and he's the manager. He's a good player, but if you bring in a new manager because you've not made top 4 and you've got these young kids and I'm not going for that system anymore. I'm going to go for blah blah. Then all that's gone, wasted. So there's no time anymore. You don't get 5, 3 years, 4 years to bring kids through and have
it's the same back, like you were saying about Greenwood though. Like obviously you think he's going to become bigger in them years. If the current strikers in the first team weren't injured or were out, he wouldn't have got the first chance. Like Rashford when he scored 2 against Arsenal. You never know what unless they're thrown in there. So you could have that's what I mean. You could have a United kid now as like a crazy, central defensive midfielder as good as Kante in 5 years to come. But you don't know if you don't throw him into men's football at the deep end. And clubs like Rochdale don't get that.
I think top half of Premier League, I think every single one of them's in the same scenario. You look at Tottenham, we've got Harry Kane. He's not going to be budged at all. Underneath him, you've got Harrott and other players that have got quality. You will never even heard of or never know because of the whole era of Harry Kane has wasted any talent that was in Tottenham youth setup. So that is a problem because it's just business in a top 10, and the kids need to be going on loan for free into the lower leagues, learning the trade, get to the Rochdales and the Salfords. There's nothing else that you're going to be able to achieve by just trying to come through as a young kid. Thinking like Greenwood this year, superb. He scored more goals than anyone would ever dreamed he would score, and probably not got. Well, I don't know because I'm not over there, but over here he's probably not got the hype that he probably deserves. But then if he goes into next season and doesn't score 10 in the first 10, and then see you later, you're nothing again.
Yeah. But he scored the same as Rashford and Martial, hasn't he? So they're all in the same, I think. Or there's like one that separates them.
And that's magic for a season breaking through. Like, how is that not talked about? How is that not praised to be the next best thing of the generation? It's an unbelievable achievement, especially in the squad that he's in with bare minimum midfielders at a certain point. Like we had to wait for Fred to finally turn the cogs and get going, and like to wait for McTominay to get back from injury, and it just Pogba was the main one. I think a lot of United's hope this year was pinned on Pogba. The whole transfer market was binned off because he was never going to get any money. He said no, I'm going to buy Pogba, and then old mate's like, see you later. I'm going to America and getting on the biz and I'm talking about you. He don't give a shit. He just attitude stinks. See you later.
Right, well, thanks for the chat, boys. Appreciate it. I've got my next guest lined up now. If you're interested in watching, I've got Tim, a Fulham fan, and I've got one of his good friends, Robert Wilson, who used to captain Fulham back in the 80s. I've got them on coming up next. And again, appreciate your time and keep safe, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right,
Take care.
good stuff. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, man. Thank you.